Good morning. Hope everyone had good holidays and a happy new year. I'm wearing one of the shoes that I got for Christmas this year, the Brooks Glycerin Max. And the first thing I have to say about this shoe, this is a very tall shoe. If you're a short person and you want to feel tall, buy these shoes. If you're already tall like me and you want to be a giant freak that everyone in your family's like, why are you so tall right now? Great for that as well. So I'm normally 6'4", maybe 6'4.5". With these shoes, I'm pushing 6'7". So I'm basically taller than Michael Jordan, although he remains way more athletic than me. Now, the first thing that I notice about these shoes, other than their immense height, are a few other things. The upper is very, very comfortable in this shoe. It's a nice mesh upper, couple layers of the mesh. It's soft, has a puffy tongue, a padded heel. So it definitely has that max cushion, comfortable type upper. I haven't been able to run that much recently. I'm just getting over like a sinus infection. I was sick for a couple weeks, and then it's been absolutely freezing and windy every day. So I've been on the treadmill a couple times recently. I've got 10 miles on this shoe so far, and going for another run today. So in addition to that upper, the other thing that stands out to me is when you see there's that much stack in this shoe and it's in the max cushion category, you're expecting to feel a really soft, compliant midsole. But the thing that's kind of interesting with Brooks midsoles, I have this same experience in the Glycerin 21, where the foam itself, even though there's a lot of it, is actually a little bit on the firm side. The foam in these Brooks shoes reminds me of the original Light Strike Pro from Adidas, where it has kind of just that more dense kind of feeling to it. So even though there's a whole lot of stack, the shoe itself is not incredibly soft. Brooks has tried something new with this shoe too, where they're calling it DNA tuned, where there's actually two kind of different densities of the midsole, where it's softer in the heel and then firms up a little bit in the forefoot. So the idea there is to give you soft kind of squishy landings in the heel to the midfoot, and then tighten things up in the forefoot to give you a bit more of an explosive toe off. So we'll see how this shoe runs today. So I'm a little over a mile into my run, and I did that first mile in like 7:45, something like that. So something that's kind of interesting with this shoe, it's a transformer. There's more than meets the eye. And what I mean by that is, you look at this shoe and you don't think it's gonna run fast. You know, it looks like a big, heavy, squishy marshmallow. But if you're looking for a squishy, bouncy marshmallow, this is actually not that shoe. Again, with all this stack, I'd expect this shoe to kind of feel more like a New Balance Fresh Foam, more with that Fresh Foam X kind of feeling. And again, this is really giving me more Adios Light Strike Pro Foam feeling to it. So it does have some bounce and some spring. It's not an incredibly bouncy shoe though. And the other thing that's very surprising is how stable it is. So even though this is such a tall shoe, it's actually very wide in the whole way, the forefoot, the heel. It's a very wide shoe, and the fact that the foam is not too soft actually gives you a decent amount of stability as well. So a couple things that are, it doesn't really perform the way it looks, which is kind of surprising. This shoe almost reminds me more of the Brooks Hyperion Max. I'll show a picture of that. I've ran in that shoe like last year. I don't have the new version, but the Hyperion Max is like a firm, light tempo kind of shoe. This is like if you stuff that midsole twice on top of itself. So it's nowhere near as fast or as light as the Hyperion Max, but the feeling of the bounce and the roll from the shoe is similar to that. But obviously some of the limitations of this shoe being so much bigger and bulkier, it's a heavier shoe. You're never going to run as fast in that and in this as you would in the Hyperion Max. So this is definitely not a tempo shoe. It's still a daily shoe, a long run shoe, but it's surprisingly more firm and kind of rolling than you'd expect. I would expect this to be much softer, sinking into the shoe more. But what that actually means is you're able to get up to a little bit faster paces with a little bit more ease. So the shoe actually feels assistive as opposed to too squishy, which I actually prefer. If you want to feel the ground below you, this is not the shoe for you. Again, having that much stack, this really is going to do a great job of protecting your joints, you know, absorbing a lot of impact in all of that foam. So 3 miles down now on this run, and my legs are feeling really good today. These shoes have a really nice kind of subtle bounce and roll. As I mentioned before, They're not incredibly bouncy or incredibly soft, but definitely once you get into that just kind of cruisy pace, they just really like to hang out there and just roll along at that pace. Very comfortable, very stable, not incredibly propulsive, but to use these as a daily shoe or a long run shoe, they're kind of perfect for that, especially as I mentioned before, because they're not too soft. So I'm not going to get bogged down running in the shoe for really long miles. So if I was doing marathon training and just doing, you know, a 10-mile run, a 12-mile run, and you just want to be able to get through it in a low heart rate zone, time on feet, this shoe is absolutely perfect for that. I also think this would be a good shoe for someone who's like on their feet all day. If someone's like a doctor or a nurse or someone that, you know, gets to wear sneakers to work, this might be one to look at just to be a really comfortable, supportive shoe that you could wear all day. So, is this a good shoe? Yes. Is it a great shoe? No. Is it worth $200? Definitely not. And that's kind of my problem with this shoe. It slots into a rotation as a long run shoe, an easy day shoe, a comfortable shoe, but it's $200. That's a lot to spend on a shoe that can kind of just do one thing. This can do your daily miles, your easy miles, your long runs, but it can't pick up the pace. It's just too big. This shoe is 47 millimeters of stack in the heel, 41 in the forefoot for a 6 millimeter drop. In my size, a US 12, it's coming in at 12.61 ounces or 356 grams. And really what my reference for what a shoe this size can do is that nice shiny one sitting behind me right there. The Super Blast 2 is also $200. And for $200, that one can run tempo paces, it can run races, it just has more energy return, more bounce, more spring, it weighs less. That shoe is 10.34 ounces in a 12, 293 grams. So it's 2.5 ounces lighter than this shoe, and you can really feel that on foot. This is a very dense midsole. It's not very like springy when you bend it, whereas with the Super Blast, this one is like just ready to go. Super Blast is also a very tall shoe. That one's 45 in the heel, 37 in the forefoot for an 8 millimeter drop. So it's about 2 millimeters less in the heel than the Glycerin Max. But really holding the two in hand, you can feel that weight difference. So what the shoe really excels at is comfort. You know, it's got a very comfortable plush upper, a padded tongue. It's got those kind of puffy laces that are comfortable, but they're not stretchy, which is what my main thing is. I hate stretchy laces. And it's very padded in the heel counter by the Achilles, has that nice flare in the back, so there's no pressure on the top of your foot here. It also is a pretty wide and accommodating upper, so I think this would really fit any foot size well. If you have a narrow foot, it might be a little roomy for you, but this is 100% true to size as well. In a 12, this fits me perfectly. I still have a little bit of room in the toe box there. So a very comfortable shoe just to step into and walk around in. You can see the massive height of this. So again, if someone's on their feet for a long time, or just to wear this shoe around as a walking shoe, or you're going to a theme park or something and you want to be comfortable, this is definitely going to keep you cushioned all day long. I also think it's interesting what Brooks is doing with this midsole. You can't see it as much on this one. You can kind of see it more in the white colorway where there's the yellow in it here. This one, it has blue coming through. This is a new nitrogen infused foam where the bubbles are kind of bigger in the heel, so it compresses more and it's a little bit softer, and then they get smaller as you get into the forefoot to kind of designed to be a little firmer and give you more of a explosive toe off. It doesn't really have an explosive toe off though. What you're getting from this shoe is the rocker design. They do have a nice rocker in here. So this is just a really pleasant ride. When you're running along in this shoe, it sinks in a little bit, it rolls you onto the toe, and you can just go all day at that easy pace. But do I want to pay $200 for a shoe to run easy pace? No. I mean, we're getting close to carbon plate racing shoe territory. So for me, this is not worth the money. As a first responder, Brooks offers a discount. I bought this with my own money because I buy all these shoes with my own money because I'm still trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. I'm almost there. If you're watching this video and haven't subscribed, please do so I can actually make this a legitimate channel at some point. So I buy all my own shoes, so all my reviews are 100% real because this is my own money I'm spending for shoes. shirt. Since I am a volunteer firefighter, Brooks does offer a first responder discount, which is 25% off. So I was able to get this $200 shoe for $150. So for $150, I think that's a much better price point for this shoe and the limited things that it can do. If I was going to spend $200 on a shoe with this much stack, it's the Super Blast all day long. Another shoe that I just got that I'll be posting a review on soon is the Asics Nova Blast 5. And this to me is kind of giving me what I want from the Brooks shoe plus more. It's a little bit lower stack. This has their new Flight Foam Blast Max foam in it. And this has a really nice combination. It actually feels bouncier and a little bit squishier than the Brooks shoe, even though that has so much foam. But this shoe's like 2 ounces lighter. It's 10 ounces as opposed to 12 plus. And the upper here is a little bit more tight fitting, but still very comfortable. So this to me is kind of like a daily trainer that can handle those long runs, easy runs, but also you can turn up the pace a little bit, do some tempo runs in there. If you need to throw some pace into a long run, I'm much going to prefer the feel of the Nova Blast to something like the Glycerin Max. This shoe is also only $140 as opposed to $200. As far as the outsole goes, this again has a very, very wide footprint the whole way through the shoe, so it maintains that stability even though it's such a tall shoe. And one thing I don't think anyone's pointed out yet is I really think the bottom of this looks like the Monster Energy logo. What do you think? But this is showing where the foam has the tighter beads, in the front of the shoe here, and that kind of goes through this whole way here to about the midfoot, and then the softer foam runs through this part right here. This also has a decent amount of rubber coverage, pretty thick ridges on here. I think this is going to be an incredibly durable shoe. Between the rubber coverage and the amount of stack in here, you're going to be able to put hundreds of miles in this in comfort. Again, my sticking point with it is it's just a heavy shoe. It's limited in what it can do for the price. So that's really my only problem with it. I still think it's a good shoe, but would I spend $200 on it? Definitely not. So let me know in the comments if you've run in this shoe, what you think about it. I think it's very comfortable, has a really pleasant ride. It's going to be durable. It's just a lot of money for a shoe that can run slow. So that's my only problem with it. So let me know also if you've run in any of the other Max Cushion shoes, any ones that you really prefer. I'd love to try the Puma Mag Max, but I don't really want to buy another expensive Max shoe right now. So I probably will not be doing a review of that one. But I think that one, some reviews I've seen can pick up the pace a little bit better than this one can. So let me know in the comments what you think about this shoe. I'll see you in the next video.